Hi, everybody. Welcome to the launch webinar for the Mobile Finance Collective. So we've been planning this for some time, so glad so many of you can make it today, and looking forward to jumping in and telling you a little bit more about the MFC, why we're doing it, who it's for, introducing you to some of the mentors, quick tour of the platform, and then talk about the community and how it's going to operate a little bit at the end. So a very quick background. So my name's Martin McMillan. I've been working in the in the mobile apps and games world for 10 years this year. Traditionally with a finance background, originally investment banking, and then in enterprise software. And the mobile finance collective is something that's been on my sort of shoulder, if you like, for about 4 or 5 years. So I've worked running an alternative lending business called Pollen VC, and in speaking to hundreds and hundreds of CFOs and of founders of gaming studios, I always noticed like a real kind of disconnect sometimes, and a real lack of community for anyone to talk about the financial issues around mobile gaming and mobile apps. So really, that's what the Mobile Finance Collective is here to address, and create a community for anyone involved in the financial aspects of mobile apps and mobile gaming. So I'd spent a lot of time figuring out what how communities run, what makes a good community, how to get people actively engaged, and make sure everyone gets at least as much out of the community as they put in. So the key to it seems to be always to have a big purpose. Why are we doing this? Who are we doing it for? What are we all going to get out of it, etc. So I'm just going to pull up a slide just now here about the big purpose. And it took, believe it or not, kind of weeks and weeks to come up with a relatively small amount of words. So really what the big purpose of the Mobile Finance Collective is to bring together finance leads and founders, mobile app and gaming studios, so everyone can share knowledge, build connections, and learn from industry mentors. The overall purpose that everyone can learn from each other to grow both our companies and our careers, so personally and professionally. So let's just unpack this a little bit. Community is for those, finance leads and founders. We're going to define that a little bit more in a second. People who are working specifically in mobile apps and gaming. So this is not a generic CFO type of world at all. This is really like an inch wide, but a mile deep. A key part of it is sharing knowledge. So again, empirically, one of the things I've seen is this kind of lack of knowledge of sometimes people coming into the sector from outside, and also from founders trying to figure it out over time. Connections is really important. If you work in user acquisition, you work in ad monetization, whatever it may be, there are lots of different communities and conferences and opportunities for you to kind of learn from peers. In finance, there seems to be absolutely nothing at all. And lastly is to learn from mentors, right? A lot of people in this world have been through and figured out a lot of the really, really nutty industry challenges, had to fix things, learn on the fly, and really define the best practice. And then lastly, so the reason we're doing this is obviously to be better at our jobs, to grow, personally, to enhance our skill set, to enhance our careers, and hopefully to make better informed financial decisions in terms of our businesses as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about first of all, who it's for, right? And we're not going to go through too many slides here, but I want us to just define this up front. So I want to be, clear about who should be applying to MFC and who shouldn't. So there's really two distinct camps. There's those in the finance role. So that could be a CFO. It could be a VP of finance, head of finance, FP&A lead. It could be an accountant, financial analyst. So someone that's basically in a senior financial role within a gaming or an app studio. This also can expand actually to those who are in a de facto CFO role. So very often there's not a formally defined finance role. It could be a CFO/COO. It could be, it could just be COO who handles the finances, or indeed a founder. Which brings me on to the second point, which is also the people that this is super relevant for is going to be founders who are looking to extend and expand their knowledge of financial topics and build their networks of folks, not just in the sort of founder sector, but also in the wider financial sector as well. So these are the two distinct camps. Obviously, there's a lot of crossover between them. And the whole point of doing this is by keeping the quality of the membership really focused, right? So not inviting in vendors, not inviting in accountants and advertising networks and so on. By keeping the quality really high, or keeping the focus really high, we keep the quality of conversation high, right? This is not a generic kind of founders forum talking about where the industry is going. This is much more about addressing the nutty financial topics. And learning to figure these out and to solve these together. So I'm just going to give you a quick sort of backstory here as to the things I've noticed from 10 years of working in the industry, and then I'm going to go on to the mentors after that and why we're doing it this way. So the backstory was, again, empirically doing something a lot, and this is like we've worked with hundreds of CFOs, hundreds of gaming studios, hundreds of app companies, subscription app companies, and so on. And there struck me as two really recurring themes. So first of all, the folks running the finances of gaming and app studios very often are the founders. Of course, that's the way it has to be. In the early days, you have to wear all of those different hats. But sometimes, and this is surprising, like if you think of a quote unquote a normal company, it would be very, very unheard of to get to a $10 million a year run rate where a financial lead was hired. So really what we're talking about here is founders who just end up being sort of what I call the accidental CFO. You might be running a company that's doing $5, $10, $15 million a year in run rate, and yet the founders are still defining the product, controlling user acquisition, and running the finances, right? And it's just impossible to do all of these things, all of these things properly and wear all of these hats all of the time. So the first is the accidental CFO. And the next thing is they get to this certain inflection point where they wake up one day and say, hang on a sec. Hey, this is a big company. This is a proper company now. We need to hire a CFO. So invariably they're going to look to hire a well-qualified, super punchy CFO who's got lots and lots of experience, and they catapult them into the world of mobile gaming and apps. And these guys are dropped into this world where there is so much kind of technical knowledge to learn. All about lifetime value modeling, cohorts, business intelligence, lots of new 3-letter acronyms to learn, and it's really, really difficult. So very often everyone's looking to the CFO for the answers. The CFO does not necessarily have all the answers. And the thing that I've noticed empirically from the outside looking in, there's no community. There's no one for them to talk to. There's no one for them to kind of share, solve problems with, etc. So that's really the backstory. Like this role can be very often a very lonely spot. Everyone's looking to you for the answers. You don't necessarily have the answers. And MFC is intended to be the community for people primarily running the finances of these studios, but also founders looking to do that. So big question that was hanging over me is like, the hell do I know about being the CFO of a mobile gaming studio or an app studio? So I might have been on the outskirts as an alternative lender, met hundreds of these companies over the years, but it struck me in order to be like credible here, we had to bring in folks from the industry. So veterans who had been through and solved these really nutty challenges, who could credibly talk to an audience of folks who are kind of learning the ropes, if you like, and make it a true community where people are giving back and then hopefully again paying it forward for the next generation. And so I was really lucky enough I've got a fairly big network over the years, and really lucky to bring in a program of mentors, people who have really sort of been at the coalface of of the space for a number of years and done some incredible things. So I'm really pleased to announce 4 members at launch today. We're going to be adding new mentors in at a rate of 1 per month going forward. But I'm really excited to introduce our mentors. So I'm going to sequentially ask them maybe to just do like a couple of minutes on each of them, doing a quick intro to who they are and what they've done, and what they're hoping to kind of what kind of vision is for the overall community. Everyone kind of learns together. So I will leave it to each of the guys to do their own intros, and maybe just quickly hand over. Guys, we want to keep it to maybe just a couple of minutes each, but maybe we can welcome Eric Ludwig to the stage first up. I'll add in Eric, and I'll keep myself here. Just
great. Well, thank you. Thanks, Martin. I've gotten to know Martin relatively well for the last couple of years. So I'm Eric Ludwig. I was the Chief Financial Officer and Chief Operating Officer at Glue Mobile. I was at Glue for 17 years. So from 2005, back when the mobile games industry was about $1 billion in total on dumb phones. We went public in March of 2007, was there for the transition to iPhones, grew the business from $10 million of revenue in 2005 to $700 million of revenue in 2021. We ultimately sold the business to Electronic Arts for $2.5 billion. I think some of the key things, Martin hit it exactly well. It is the loneliest job in the world. It really is. I oversaw 58 public quarters of reporting to Wall Street, oversaw 17 acquisitions of game studios. In my COO role at Glue, I grew our India location, our low-cost India location, from 30 people to 300 people. So I think what I bring to the table as a mentor is really, I know this industry inside and out. I know the pains of being the lonely person at the helm. I know what growth looks like. I know about studio and profit margins and how to price products and how to kill products. Quite frankly, this is a very tough business. And also really know the intimate ins and outs of UA and how a lot of people actually don't know how to even measure it. I've seen companies that have done a very poor job, and they think that they're having great payback periods, and they don't. Since leaving Glue/EA, I'm doing a variety of things in the gaming space, in AI, and in SaaS. So those are kind of my 3 verticals that I focus on. I'm doing investing, advising, board stuff, as well as part-time CFO work. And I am starting a low-cost dev studio in India as well, kind of replicating what I did back at Glue. So with that, I'll turn it over to the next mentor, but looking forward to meeting everybody. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. Marcus, I was gonna invite you up to the stage now. That's right. Maybe just a couple of minutes intro as well. It'd be great.
Thanks, Martin. So hey everyone, I'm Marcus Vahtola. I have been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades, with 3 companies founded, the last one being Quantum Shake, which is a game studio focusing on cross-platform entertainment. And alongside Quantum Shake, I also worked 3.5 years at the Finnish Tax Registration to combat cross-border VAT fraud, among other interesting projects I wish I could share more about, but unfortunately I can't. And in 2020, January, I joined Fingersoft as their inaugural CFO. So a startup that was founded in 2012, over a decade ago, running without a CFO for so many years. That was an interesting one to build all the processes and everything. So they had me as a CFO until last year's June, and then we hired a new CFO, allowing me to transition to be even more hands-on with the dynamic industry of ours. And especially with Mobile Finance Collective, I look forward to having this go-to resource to discuss anything financial, all these aspects, the mobile domain, and especially like the latest in the international regulation, because it's increasingly more demanding to keep up with, and joining forces with talented peers like Eric, Hong, and of course Natalia and many others that are to come to discuss the trends, tools, processes, challenges, and having a community full of life. That's what I'm looking forward to. I think that's about it. Cash flow is of course king, and our CFO role is the most loneliest job, as Eric said. So there's so much to be proficient at, and I think it's about the time to have a community such as Mobile Finance Collect.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thank you, Marcus. Natalia, I was going to invite you up to up to the stage next.
Hello, beautiful community. Oh, yeah, with my old cat. Say hi to you. 20 years old. Actually, my name is Natalia Kuzmenko. I'm a head of finance of Zeptalab company who created this green funny Om and different other games such King of Chiefs, Buleteha. I'm in finance for 16 years and SSA qualified and started my career as auditor in Deloitte and then worked in BNP Paribas, G-Money Bank, Hapik. It's such a combination of IT and financial companies. And I'm an author of a book of preparing presentations for investors. And I deeply love work with startups. It's my, I don't know, passion. I like to be useful for founders, especially in finance area. In early stages to make these first steps. Also, now I'm accepted new challenge in Zeptalab. Now I'm restructuring finance and legal processes in this company with old history, but now we have a fresh start. And I know how good to be a part of community. I'm actively participate in different business communities, and I know how quick you can solve all your questions if you have right people in right field. And that's why for me it's very important to be part of community. I have in this community I will be a mentor, and my topics will be corporate finance, restructuring, process restructuring, and team buildings, finance and legal team buildings, and recruitment. And I also now in this situation of changes, and I also to be part of this strong finance professional community to have this opportunity to ask questions, to receive answers anytime, and see you guys on the platform. Be in touch. Thank you very much, Martin.
Cool. Thank you, Natalia. And then last but not least, Hong.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Hong. I'm CFO currently at SpaceX Games. I've been here for 5 years. Just echo Eric and Marcus. It's a very, very lonely road. So I drink a lot, by the way, just to cope. But yeah, so my background is a couple of decades, obviously working in finance, media, entertainment, tech companies. I started back in MySpace, if everyone remembers, when it was the #1 social network in the world, and then Facebook came along. But yeah, worked with and in HQs, you know, in LA, San Fran, New York, a lot of international businesses, and obviously most recently sort of in mobile gaming. I think my lens and kind of my perspective hopefully is, whilst my finance is my foundations, I've found myself sort of in operational roles or strategic roles, and sort of also sort of business and commercial. So from an operations and strategic perspective, I was general manager at Vivo as employee #1, setting up that office in its early days and sort of growing to its peak of sort of 700-800 million that it became. I also sort of was head of international audio, which was a music streaming company, sort of running teams across the globe before we sold that to Pandora. And finally, sort of during my time at Newton, which was an edtech company, actually, I kind of found myself in all parts of the world, Africa, the Middle East, South America, closing deals and selling SaaS. So I'm a CFO who's kind of done a lot of deals, like from a sales kind of business development perspective. I also believe sort of a strength of mine is kind of operations and logistics and kind of executing and running sort of international teams. So from a product perspective, Martin, I think what got me excited is my mum and my sister are both teachers. I've also worked in edtech, so I'm very passionate about sort of education, growth and development. So I'm looking forward to this opportunity just in terms of working with finance professionals and kind of sharing my experience and my knowledge. I think for me, the sense of community, whilst very critical, one of the things I'm really looking forward to is just working on a one-to-one basis with people, whether it's just an email exchange or meeting up, because I just really feel like that's kind of very valuable. And kind of having had the opportunity myself with obviously my family and working with CPA Australia through their mentoring program and the various companies I've kind of worked for, I know how valuable it can be. So yeah, looking forward to a fun journey with all the other fellow mentors and sort of the community.
Cool, great, thank you very much, Hong. So okay, so we've got like a superb lineup of talent here. The one theme that I'm getting from everyone is like this loneliness thing, which is one of the things I kind of detected early on. So it's you know, it's a thing. We're going to fix it, and we're going to fix it together, I think is the key thing. So next thing I wanted to show you is just give you a quick sneak peek of the platform, right? So spoiler alert, don't be expecting something that is like in any way kind of fully baked, fully populated, ready to dive in for. You know, the early parts of building a community is having, you know, it's really essential to have people who are active community members, who are, you know, asking, answering, who are building at, and so on as well. So we spent a lot of time and wanted to put something together that was like a really, you know, we had a lot of different options. We could have done a Discord channel or a posh Slack channel or something, but it didn't really have much of a sense of community, and you were having to go to this all the time. So we eventually selected a platform called Mighty Networks, which has a superb web platform, but also we have it currently being built out a dedicated mobile app as well. So this will be like literally the app icon on your screen. Everything's in one place, so you're not having to go to, you know, check email for this and check Slack for that, whatever. The whole thing is baked into the Mighty Network community. So we want to have like a very much a premium experience. So I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes tour of what we have all set up just now. But, you know, bear in mind, this is a little bit like an unfurnished house, right? You know, we're looking to you guys to provide the furniture here. So, but we wanted to make sure we got the foundations right. So the web experience, obviously I can't show you the app right now, but it's very similar kind of look and feel. So web experience is here. Everything's all MFC branded. You have a feed up the top, and then you have various different kind of options down the side. So, you know, where anyone's going to come into is an onboarding experience. People are going to have to introduce themselves. They're going to have to tell the community a little bit about who themselves, what they'd like to get out of it, etc. So that's just the first sort of icebreaker. There are various other things. We're going to do some videos about, you know, how to use and navigate, but it's a pretty familiar interface. So there's more of the admin stuff down here. The more interesting stuff happens when we get into these topic-based threads. So, you know, we've got 5 threads. We've got user acquisition, ad monetization, investor relations, accounting and HR, and raising capital and M&A. I fully expect that number of threads to go up over time. There are going to be, you know, I don't have a different thread for every question, but we're going to have, you know, these concepts and themes are going to keep coming up. So, you know, in one of these threads, so if I just look at, for example, ad monetization. So, you know, here's a question from Subir at New Box Studios in India, you know, about views on the IAP bundles, for example. So, you know, people will be asking questions and looking for answers. The thing that we have is lots and lots of people will be able to answer the questions that those who haven't figured it out have, you know, are posting. So there's very much a two-way street. So in each of those, there's going to be, for example, there's going to be a feed. There's a chat function here, so you can see who else, you know, if you want to post up a new chat and just go back and forth, and you also see the members of that. To start with, everyone is signed up to every thread. You'll be able to self-select which ones you want to be a part of, where you feel you can add more value, you're more interested in, and which ones you may want to duck out from. So there's the welcome, there's the threads and stuff in here. Then we're going to do events. So originally we're going to kick off with a bunch of firesides with mentors, with guest speakers, and if there are questions you want answered, you know, let me know. We can go off and find really interesting people to answer really interesting questions. So we had, I had one request about like why are PE owners getting interested in the gaming sector, right? So we can go off and we can find, someone from the PE world to talk about this. So if there are questions that you want, answered at not just like a mentor or a community member, if you want me to go and find interesting speakers on specific topics, that's no problem to do. So originally, and I just posted one up here. So we're going to do meet the mentor session. So one with Hong, we penciled in for, the end of next week, for example, and gradually we'll be building up. A main part of it is we're going to be doing, each of the mentors is going to be doing a sort of a keynote webinar. So something that we're going to talk about that they feel passionate about. And this is going to be like super high quality content that you're not going to be able to get elsewhere. So this is really, masterclasses, learning from the folks who've really kind of been through this and done it before. Events, I'm hoping, within the first year, maybe towards the end of the first year, to do in-person events. So we'll look to probably do a summit where everyone actually gets together in practice. One of the things, the feedback in the early days is that, the CFOs or the finance folks never really get out much. It's always the user acquisition conferences, the ad monetization conferences, and so on. And again, there's very little kind of forum to do the in-person. So that's something we're going to look to do before the end of year one. And then also city meetups as well. So I really like the idea of country ambassadors or city ambassadors, where there's a groundswell of studios, whether that be in Helsinki or in London or in Limassol or in San Francisco or whatever, just running informal sessions. So sort of community ambassadors, if you like, creating these things and just having that sort of that in-person meetups and so on as well. So over time, we're going to look to do resources and tools. So people have, Google Sheets and templates and, redacted documents, right? There's never any intention that people should be sharing numbers or anything, but if people can share concepts and ways they've approached and solved some of these problems, that's going to be super useful to folks over time. So that's kind of it. I just wanted to give you like a very quick demo there to show you this is something that's very much a tangible thing. It's not an ethereal thing. It's going to just exist on email. So we put a lot of thought and effort into doing this, and I really think the premium experience of the app is going to be is going to drive a lot of engagement from the community over time. So that was that. I'm going to dive in for a few minutes on just some of the objectives, right? And we're going to move through this very quickly, and then I want to save a few minutes for Q&A. So again, you're setting out to think about what's important, what do we want to be. So a real goal is to be like the most active and relevant. Real focus on those two words. But it's a specialist community just around finance, right? This isn't a generic, where's the industry going and talking about which ad network you use. This is super focused around finance for this audience to try and relieve the loneliness, frankly, from the role. And then second kind of pillar is like it's a two-way street, right? So we want people, everyone to learn from each other. I think obviously there's a lot we can learn from the mentors, but there's a lot you're going to be able to learn from just other community members. I guarantee that for 9 out of 10 questions that people are posting, someone in the community has already solved that particular problem. And then, number 3, hyper relevant content and connections. So these are folks just doing pretty much the same job you do at different studios. And because of that, and the content we're curating and the webinars, etc., everything is super focused. This isn't some super low-level wishy-washy content. This is super high quality. And the overall objective is like, make better decisions. It's both a personal and professional thing. So better decisions at work, more informed, better outcomes, but also growing your own skill set. You're cracking the nut quicker, more skillfully than you would do if you were just left on your own to do this. Again, I'm going to whiz through some of the other things. Obviously, on the platform, we're going to be doing masterclasses. That's going to start off at once a month. We're going to do video drop-in roundtables. That's something I've done in various different communities super well, where folks can just get in online and just talk through issues. We'll be doing firesides, both with guest speakers. We'll be doing member spotlights. the peer-to-peer messaging platform. Actually, it's the one thing I didn't show you. I can show you very quickly here, which is the ability to to just look up members. So if I for example go to Subirus, I can see where he is, where he works, whatever, and just the ability to reach out. So if you've got something, obviously you need to be respectful in terms of folks' time and so on. But I think everyone's going to be super receptive to have this sort of direct messaging platform that between community members. So we'll do obviously the peer-to-peer messaging. Topic-based forums are going to be huge. In-person events, it's not going to happen day one, but at a certain level of groundswell, we will. Office hours is something that mentors have said they'll be able to be happy to give up a small number of office hours, and we'll curate the right folks with the right questions. We talked a bit about country ambassadors, and then the idea is we're going to put people into cohorts. So you'll have cohorts perhaps with one of the mentors as and all kind of grow and lend together. Then there's an element of accountability to each other and trying to solve these problems. So that's something we've seen work very well in other communities. It's going to talk about the founder membership program. So this is something, again, studying community design. We wanted to open up for about, basically until the end of April. So for about a month, founder membership. So this is a slightly discounted membership, but on the basis that people are going to be, good citizens and active community members. So this is something, obviously, we're not expecting people to pay for this personally. This is very much a company purchase. One of the questions I had is like, could I use my CPD budget towards this? And, and talking to a few of the larger studios, there is learning and training budgets. And, if you're in user acquisition, that's great. You can send someone to a conference in Las Vegas, like MAU this week, whatever. But for finance, there's really very little. You could go back to accounting school, or you could actually use the CPD budget towards being a member of a community, which is going to be really hands-on and really helpful. So we split it into two for smaller studios, up to 1 million lifetime downloads, 2,500 a year. And for some of the larger studios, we think it's fair that obviously if you reach a certain level of scale, you can afford to pay a little bit more. So it's 4,500 a year. And the idea here is to design something where everyone gets, a really, really good experience and a very demonstrable value from the community by keeping it so tight and so focused and keeping the quality so high. So that is those are the founder memberships. What we're looking at thereafter is basically opening up for a little bit of Q&A. So I don't know if anyone wants to post any specific questions up in the group chat. I have a couple of questions that people emailed me ahead of time. So let me just take myself out of it. If anyone's got any questions they want to put in the comment section right now, we can look to answer those. Okay, so the few questions have come in. So one was, is this relevant for app studios as well as gaming studios? Conscious that a lot of what we've been talking about has been relevant to the gaming sector. But to be honest, whilst a lot of the real coalface thinking is done in mobile gaming, everything we're talking about is as equally equivalent to apps as it is to games. So 100% yes, we're actively seeking app founders to be part of the community. We have some early members already signed up from the app space, and there'll be separate threads, right? So there'll be like subscription app modeling that'll be more relevant to the app founders than the gaming founders. So I fully expect to see some areas more relevant to others. Next question I had here was, I'm an accountant. Can I sign up? I think really we're gonna keep it to the two tenets that we set up front. So we want those in the finance sphere and those in those as founders. What I don't want to do is open it up to professional advisors and so on who may see this as some kind of fertile hunting ground for for new prospects, right? That's we're going to keep the gate really high, and I want anyone who's seeing any kind of reach outs that they think are inappropriate, absolutely to report them. So definitely want to keep that one very high. There was another question that came in around CPD points, but I think we probably covered that already in terms of I think it's a great use of talking to your founders or team members and seeing potentially if you can use CPD funds to join the community. The last one I had here was in-person events as well. So yeah, I think I've got the ambition here of doing like an annual Congress event. So we'd probably look to do one in Europe, one in the US. We're not going to be able to do that sort of initially day one, but at a whatever level of scale, then absolutely, then we should be looking to do that. So I'm gonna. I don't see any other questions. If anyone wants to reach out to me on anything they don't want to post here, then of course they can email directly. So just email me at martin@mobfin.co. If there's anything, obviously, if folks are looking to apply, then you can do that through the mobfin.co website. So maybe just to round off, I will invite all of our mentors back up onto stage for a second. We can have some kind of round off here. So if there's space on the screen for everyone. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you to our mentors for being a part of it. I don't know if there's anything anyone wants to kind of round off with here before we wrap up.
I'd probably just say that app question really important. I mean, the biggest issue for almost everybody in mobile is user acquisition, and how you do it for games and for apps is pretty similar. So absolutely the intersection, I think, for this Mobile Finance Collective is both games and apps.
Cool. Well, look, I'm gonna chime in if there's anything else, but I think hopefully that's been useful. Hopefully it's been useful for the audience to get a sense of kind of who we are, what we're all about, and the range of talent we've been able to assemble. I get a real strong sense as I said, this has been something that's been on the stocks for 4 or 5 years I've wanted to do, and just it seems like there's a burning need for a community of people in this role, and absolutely we want to do that. So Rome wasn't built in a day. I'm actively inviting any kind of feedback one way or another. You can email me directly on that, and hope to see you guys on the MFC platform very soon. Thanks very much indeed for joining, and safe travels, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.